Chelsea's transfer deadline day has come and gone, but without any major signings to reinforce our injury woes, is it a wasted opportunity? Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And that means another deadline day where we flattered to deceive, I guess. At the end of the day, it was lots and lots and lots of outgoings, which is actually a really good thing. So we're just going to go through everything that happened on transfer deadline day and kind of where that leaves us, and if we think that it leaves us strong enough to start the season. So the big news was the Nicolas Jackson thing, right? The Nicolas Jackson thing, there were so many crazy stories over the last couple of days. But the Jackson one being the main one. So as soon as Liam Delap got his injury, we kind of tried to pull the plug on the Jackson loan deal because he was obviously proposed to move to Bayern Munich. Now, this kind of worked in our favour in a financial respect, in the very least. Jackson was originally going to go on a loan deal to Bayern Munich with no obligation to buy at all. It was going to be a chunky loan fee, and it was just going to be the 1 year loan. But losing Liam Delap obviously meant we were going to be in need of a striker. So we said, no, you can't have him. And then he was like, I want to stay. And then his agent was talking about planes not being able to turn around. It all started to get a little bit silly. But what ultimately this did do is put the power back in Chelsea's hands, right? Because our need for a striker was larger than it was before, and that kind of put all of the power in our hands, like I said, right? So at the end of the day, we either needed a striker or we needed to sell Nicolas Jackson. Now, the disappointing thing was you would have thought, okay, that means if we sell Nicolas Jackson, maybe we're going for someone else. That is not how it ended up playing out, but the deal for Nicolas Jackson is good. We are going to get a 16 million euro loan fee, which is smashed the loan record, do you know what I mean, for a fee for a loan, so that's already good. Overall, the deal is going to be worth about 70 million, with Bayern Munich paying upwards of 50 million pounds in obligation at the end of the season to sign Nicolas Jackson. Now, the obligation will be triggered by certain factors, right? And I can't imagine, given the situation we're in, those are going to be hard ones to meet. It's probably going to be something like Champions League qualification or a certain number of games, and then Nicolas Jackson will officially be a Bayern Munich player. He's already agreed a 5-year deal for the obligation, do you know what I mean? So unless Nicolas Jackson goes there and completely stinks out the joint or gets a massive injury which sees him out for the whole season, you would have thought that that's probably just going to happen. I'm sure we'll find out in a month or two what those obligation quotas were, but either way, Nicolas Jackson out for an eventual 70 million, which is more than double what we paid for him, and based on the fact we've already had him for a couple of years, well over double what his book value would have been worth. So yeah, Nicolas Jackson to Munich, official. That was the really, really big one on the last day. Ben Chilwell got his move. That was really good news, man. That was the last thing we saw on transfer deadline day as well. It was literally just as we were finishing up the stream with the Blue Lounge and behind the dugouts. The Here We Go came between 7 and 8 o'clock, just after the 7 o'clock kind of deal deadline had closed, and then we got the Here We Go for Ben Chilwell. We haven't seen any amount of money, but you can imagine it's basically going to be nothing. Really happy for Ben Chilwell in that respect, because of all the players that have been in the bomb squad, he's been so professional. He's never come out and complained, and it was just sad to see Ben Chilwell not be viable for the squad anymore. He's only like 28, right? So he's gone to Strasbourg. He'll get loads of game time there. Do you know what I mean? He's such a good player, and ultimately what this does is potentially puts him back in line for a shot at an England spot for the next World Cup, and definitely one of the better left backs in the country at the moment. Obviously, Arsenal Skelly has had that spot locked down for a little while now, but with a full season of football under his belt, and if he can stay fit, because that was a bit of a problem for Ben Chilwell for a while as well, then maybe we can see Ben Chilwell back in the England team. Either way, that's one that we're all, as Chelsea fans, I'm sure, particularly happy about. We were on the stream last night for sure. So there were a few failed moves that just failed to get over the line, actually, and one of them was quite disappointing. In some ways, and in others, I guess you could say it's not necessarily a terrible thing. So Tyrique George, right, had agreed, and it looked like it was all going to happen, £22 million to Fulham with a hefty sell-on clause. That was a great deal for Tyrique George, man. And again, I kind of thought this was the best for him, because he's at this point in his career now where he needs game time and he needs minutes. But the deal fell through in the last minute due to Fulham not being able to sell Harry Wilson to Leeds. So it was a domino effect. Harry Wilson Bayern didn't get the Leeds move, and that meant that Fulham, although they did splash out on quite a lot of deals in the last minute, they weren't able to get that Tyrique George deal over the line. So what that means for Tyrique George is going to come back into our squad and be registered for the Champions League. So I would have thought he might see the odd game at striker, maybe, because we are stacked with wingers now, man. We are absolutely stacked with wingers. So Tyrique George is probably going to come in and play a similar role to what he has been. I would still expect Mark Yu to get the start over him. And speaking of Mark Yu, that is another one that kind of was finalised yesterday. He returned from his loan at Sunderland and is going into the Champions League squad and is going to be our backup striker in the absence of Liam Delap. So, bit of a strange one, man. The only actual incoming we technically had yesterday was one we sort of knew about already. It was Facundo Buononottes of Brighton. His loan was finalised. There seems to be some excitement about him. He does look like a decent player. He was on loan with Leicester last season, scored 6 goals in the Premier League. He's got 2 international caps for Argentina, which is good at 20 years old. Argentina, obviously, always full of really good players. He's a right winger, centre attacking midfielder, and does fill out a lot of depth that we have in those areas as well. Couple of other failures. Axel Disasi. Oh, mate, Axel Disasi. So he's still at the squad. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him, whether he's going to train with the team or be reintegrated or whatever. Disasi was being very picky, right? So Disasi had like 3-4 different Premier League clubs come in for him. And I would have assumed the Prem clubs were looking at him and being like, no, we don't fancy it. But supposedly, Disasi was the one being like, no, that's not for me. So apparently, he really, really wanted a loan to Monaco, but obviously we filled out all of our international loan spots with Nicolas Jackson going to Bayern Munich. So it was never going to be possible for Axel Disasi to leave on a loan anywhere that wasn't in the UK, and no one was coming in to buy him on a permanent. So we're still lumbered with Axel Disasi for the time being. I would expect that one to be rectified in January unless he plays his way back into the team, but not convinced that one's going to happen. And also, speaking of players that didn't manage to get their moves, we are also still lumbered with Raheem Sterling. And supposedly he's going to train away from the first team. Raheem Sterling, in this window, has declined moves to Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and has stated that he's not interested in going to America either. It seems like Raheem Sterling's all he wants is to stay in London, right? Because, you know, he obviously came to Chelsea, he moved to Arsenal, there'd been lots of talks about Fulham, a bit of talks about Crystal Palace and stuff over the window, but nothing materialised. And I'm not surprised, man. He's on 350k a week. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. If we wanted to cancel Raheem Sterling's contract, it cost us like 30 million, and he's with us until 2027. So this is going to be another ongoing one. Just a painful reminder of why in this day and age in football, you shouldn't just go out and spend the biggest money on players. Do you know what I mean? Raheem Sterling was one of the first moves that we made under Blueco, and it's just not looked great, has it, to be honest? Obviously, that was the same window we got Koulibaly, who we were very lucky to get rid of, but the Raheem Sterling thing is still haunting us. And it's a shame. Because we've got so many attacking midfielders. Obviously, Buononottes came in. We've just bought Garnacho, and Tyrique George is staying at the club. There's just no room for Raheem Sterling. And evidently, the fact that he's training away from the club says that Maresca looks at him and says, no, I just can't really use him. So Raheem Sterling is still on the books, and he's still costing us 350 grand a week, and he won't even be training with the team. So that's a bit disappointing. So the window on a whole, right, as a general thing, the window on a whole, it's easy to be disappointed because the injuries, right? You know, obviously the Liam Delap injury was like, oh no, what are we going to do? We never really replaced Levi Colwill either, which is a bit of a shame. But I guess if you eat some copium, you say, okay, Axel Disasi's back in, that's another centre-back. So although not ideal, there is still, we've got lots and lots and lots of centre-backs, so that itself is not particularly an issue. It is disappointing not to get rid of the likes of Raheem Sterling. There was some talks about Konrad Harder, but he ended up obviously opting for Red Bull Leipzig, the striker. There was A rumour that came up that was dashed very quickly about Santiago Jimenez from AC Milan, that again was dashed very, very quickly by Fabrizio Romano on the last day. So it really seemed there were going to be no other options than bringing back Mark Gue. I back Mark Gue to come in and have a good go at it, right? You've got to now because the window's closed at the end of the day. What it does show for me, and I've mentioned this on streams, and when I've been streaming with the Blue Lounge, I've talked about it recently. If I'm completely honest, I think we're still in project mode. Do you know what I mean? From the owner's perspective, I'm trying to see it from an objective point of view. And I think the owners still see us as being in project mode, right? We're not just going to go out and spend huge amounts of money on all these players like we did with Raheem Sterling, like we did with Koulibaly, in order to fill these spots, because ultimately we've got lots of players. And I still think if Enzo Maresca gets us in the Champions League, has a very good cup run of some sort, and we, see a reasonably good Champions League run this year that might see us get into a quarter or semi-final, I think Maresca's job is safe. So I think the window itself, if you look at the window on a whole, it's been a great window. We've brought in 6 really, really strong players. We've brought in other players that we'd already bought but are new to the team, the likes of André Santos, Esteban Willian. The new players like Garnacho, Joro Hato, Jamie Gittins, João Pedro, Liam Delap will be good when he's fit again, and hopefully we just haven't, brought in a new injury player for the medical table. What I will be doing in a video very soon is looking at every single signing that we've got in, how much money we've made from all the players that we've gone out, and I will go into it in detail. But just as a general thing, the window was good. The window was really, really, really good. It's easy to be disappointed because there were things like the Xavi Simons deal, do you know what I mean? And that went on for so long. But I'm actually starting to think that the Xavi Simons deal was off when he went back into the Red Bull Leipzig team after he pulled out of it the first time. That was like a month ago, do you know what I mean? Other than Fabrizio Romano saying that things are still going on, there was no real indication that was actually going to happen. So I think the window was good, man. I know we can be disappointed. Obviously, we'd all like to see a new goalkeeper there, but I think the thing is, this is the sort of stuff we're going to see happen at next summer. Do you know what I mean? Next, the Mike Maignan deal was the only goalkeeper deal that we even looked at throughout the entire window. Levi Colwill is obviously still going to be trusted if he can come back from his injury well, and we've got so many centre-backs that buying another one for a big amount of money would have left us just with more players to try and get rid of, which ultimately would have made that bomb squad even bigger. We got rid of 20 players, man, and Chelsea are the first team ever in one window to make a £300 million sale, in total, not one player, but all of the players together. We've got more than £300 million, and that's never, ever, ever happened before. So that's good, man. That is good. Do you know what I mean? The main thing is, as far as this channel goes, now we just get to start talking about the football. Transfer window is fun, but I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm well ready to just start talking about the football and looking at the team, and just getting into what we all really are here for in the first place, man. Do you know what I mean? And the truth is, man, January is literally just around the corner. It's September. Do you know what I mean? It's literally September. The next transfer window is just around the corner. Anything that we haven't managed to get through now, I imagine we will try to address. Probably more outgoings as well. We'll have to see what happens with Raheem Sterling. Axel Disasi may well find himself out unless he's able to play his way back into the team. Tyrique George has now got a few months to try and get his way into the team to prove that he's actually worth keeping around. And if not, people like Fulham are willing to pay 22 million for him. So if he can get some more game time, maybe get a couple of goals under his belt, maybe that goes up even more. Do you know what I mean? There's lots of reasons to be positive, guys. Lots and lots of reasons. Let me know what you think in the comments about it, right? Are you disappointed by what seemed like a bad end to the transfer window, or are you like me, where you look at the whole thing in isolation, starting from the first window that opened just before the Club World Cup? You see the likes of João Pedro coming in, you see the likes of Jamie Gittins, Garnacho, Joro Hato, Dario Basugo, Esteban Willian, André Santos, all of these great new players that fill out spots in our teams, that add depth and quality. Yes, there are still a couple of kind of rickety looking areas in centre-back, goalkeeper and striker, and any more injuries could cause us some serious problems. But at the end of the day, that's the same for every team, isn't it? Like, look at what's happening every single match day at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Saliba was out in the, Saliba and Ryan Cherky both got injured in the last games in this match day just gone. So, the injury thing is kind of affecting everyone. So at the end of the day, it's not just us that needs to be worried about injuries. Ultimately, as far as deadline day goes, Nicolas Jackson to Bayern Munich for what is going to be 70 mil is a brilliant deal for a player we bought for. I saw it was £32 million we got Jackson for. Amazing. Ben Chilwell getting to Strasbourg. Great, really, really big fan of that. And like I say, hopefully that sees him with a shot at getting back into the England team. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. But I want you to be really excited. I'm really excited. I've got so much coming to this channel. Within the next couple of days, I'm about to join the YouTube Partner Program. And I would just like to take this opportunity to send out a massive thanks to all of you that have been watching my videos. I would like to shout out Britain Rom, Chelsea, Mr. Chelsea, and Dominic especially, because I know that when I had that issue, my account was getting banned and I was like, please help me get my watch hours up. A load of you guys went back and watched loads of my old videos to help push it up, and you guys haven't stopped since. My hours have gone up. I'm this close to the YouTube Partner Program, which means I'm just about to introduce some really exciting features to the Stamford Sync and hopefully grow and engage my community even more. Thank you so much. You've all been a bunch of absolute legends. I've had also a really, really great time streaming every single night for the last 5 days on the Blue Lounge. I did my own first live stream yesterday, which went quite well. That's something I'm going to start doing more of as well. More than that, now that we are just looking at the football and we've got the team, I'm going to get back into stuff like who's the better baller, the player comparison, statistics. We're going to get very football nerdy. It's all coming here on the Stamford Sync, and I hope you guys are excited for it because I really am. And as ever, one thing I've forgotten to say already because there's been so much to talk about, if you guys have been enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Nice one, guys. I'm going to wrap the video up there, but I will catch up with all of you very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.